Welcome in, Bills Mafia. Welcome back to another edition of the Go Bills podcast. And today, it is not the kickoff special show. I did hit the wrong banner the wrong video clip that we were supposed to air, but we do have our first game at HighMark Stadium, and boy, am I ready to talk about Buffalo Bills football. It is Sunday around 12:30 right now, so we're about 30 minutes away from kickoff of the Buffalo Bills and Raiders game, and I cannot wait to talk about this game. We have the inactives for the Buffalo Bills as well as the Raiders, and the inactives for the Buffalo Bills is mainly the same players that are going to be inactive as there were last week. Only one change for the inactives for the Bills. Damar Hamlin is going to be inactive, as well as Kyer Elam. Kingsley Jonathan inactive, Jermaine Ifedi, and Alec Anderson. That's rounding up the 5 inactives for the Buffalo Bills. And then for the Las Vegas Raiders, Jacoby Myers inactive with a concussion, Chandler Jones inactive with personal reasons, and then 4 other players that are going to be inactive that are healthy scratches. Aiden O'Connell, the backup quarterback to Jimmy Garoppolo. Safety Chris Smith is inactive as well. Linebacker Amari Burney, and then defensive tackle Nesta Jade Silvera inactive as well. So it seems like the Bills are going to have the same players that are going to be inactive this week, but we will see how that works for the Bills and if they can turn it around at home against the Las Vegas Raiders. You remember last week what happened. Let me go on over to YouTube real quick and go with the comments on YouTube. And we have Red, White, and Bills joining us today. He said that being 0-1 sucks, making it more nerve-wracking. And I completely agree. We need to straighten things out this week, get back on the roll, and get back to playing the sound Buffalo Bills football that you normally see. Let's begin talking about the matchup between the Raiders and the Buffalo Bills. And this matchup, I'm looking forward to talking about the offense, but I'm going to start with the defense of the Buffalo Bills and talk about how the Bills need to stop the key player for the Las Vegas Raiders, which is going to be stopping Josh Jacobs, who is coming off of a really good season last year. And he is also he has been franchise tagged by the Las Vegas Raiders this year. Didn't have a good game last week, running the ball 19 times for 48 yards. Didn't get into the end zone, but he didn't look like himself. He looked like he was rusty out there, and he's going to need to have a bounce-back game, and I don't want that to happen against the Buffalo Bills this week. So the Bills are going to have to contain Josh Jacobs, and if they do that, that's going to allow for Buffalo to be able to go into their passing game and their pass defense, which is one of their strengths that they have this season. You look at what the Buffalo Bills did last week against Zach Wilson, and they only gave up 140 yards overall last week. So if Buffalo can do the same thing this week, then it just plays into the strengths of the Bills defense. Last week, Jimmy Garoppolo had 200 yards passing on 26 dropbacks. He was not sacked in the game against the Denver Broncos. You remember the Denver Broncos do have a weaker defense, but Buffalo's defense in week 1 looked really good, getting pressure rates at 45%, which is more than 1.5 times the league average of 30%. So Buffalo is going to have to generate some pressure with guys like Leonard Floyd as well as Greg Russo in order to get to the quarterback. If they're able to do this, then it's going to create 3rd and longs as well as other long drives for the Raiders to have to convert on. So I want to see them do that this week. I'm going to take the background out because I don't really love the way that looks, but I'm going to take the background out for today because it's kind of getting a little blurry on here. So we're going to go with the background that we normally see. We're not at our normal studio today, but we are actually at my mom's house. So we're going to go with this look today and show you the beach theme vibe that we're at. We're in Sarasota, Florida this week for our kickoff. We usually do games with my mom and brother and dad, so we get to talk about Buffalo Bills football. at home in Sarasota, Florida, even though we're 1,200 miles away. So let's go and talk about the Raiders wide receivers that they have, and the key matchup for the Bills in the passing game is going to be stopping Davante Adams, and it's going to be a tough matchup for Tre'Davious White to stop Davante Adams this week. Last week, Davante Adams was not the best version of himself out there on the field. He did get the ball quite a bit, but it wasn't the same Davante Adams that you normally see when he was out there. He did have 6 catches for 66 yards overall, averaging 11 catches or 11 yards per catch. So he does need to get back to normal Davante Adams that you see and be the same version of himself. Now he's going to be going up against Tre'Davious White, who last week against Garrett Wilson had 5 catches for 34 yards and a touchdown. But that touchdown was a contested touchdown that Tre'Davious wishes he had back. He probably has nightmares because of it, and he needs to get back to the normal Tre'Davious White you see out there. Let's go over to the comments on YouTube as well. We have another comment from Red, White, and Bills. He said, just want to start already. Josh needs to have a turnover-free game. And you're right, Sean. He does need to have a turnover-free game, but he also needs to be smart with the football. He needs to be able to make good decisions out there. I'll get into that a little bit later before kickoff, because there's a couple of key points that I want to make about Josh Allen. I don't want to start the show off with him because I don't want the show to completely reflect on Josh Allen and how he played in week 1. I want to focus on some of the other areas that we can talk about as well. Let's look over to the Buffalo Bills offense now and talk about the offensive line that the Bills have right now. And I actually like this offensive line that they're rolling out today. It's going to be the same one that you saw against the Jets. Deion Dawkins, you have Connor McGovern, Mitch Morse, as well as Osiris Torrance and Spencer Brown. And this matchup is going to be a good matchup because you have these 5 guys that are going to come in, and you're going up against Max Crosby, who is an elite pass rusher in this league. But Buffalo is going to have to make sure that they get Max Crosby away from the backfield for the Buffalo Bills. And that's going to be a tough task, but they're going to have to rely on guys like Dawson Knox and guys like Latavius Murray getting into the backfield and helping chip block on Max Crosby, because you don't want him to be in the game. If you remember back a few years ago, to a game against the Houston Texans, and in that game, Buffalo had all the momentum going forward, and the Houston Texans didn't have any momentum. But when Buffalo was able to get to start losing that game, it was because J.J. Watt was in the game and he was making an impact in that game. If you look at what Buffalo needs to do today, they need to make sure that Max Crosby does not get involved in this game whatsoever, and they keep the Raiders to a very stale team that they need to beat. Let's go and talk about the main topic that we want to talk about, which is the matchup between Josh Allen and not only himself, but Josh Allen and the Raiders, and how Josh Allen can bounce back in this game. If you look back to last week and the 4 turnovers that Josh Allen had, Josh was trying to go with too many different deep balls. And in that situation, he wasn't making the smart decisions that he should have made. And he can get better towards being a better quarterback by going through his progressions and getting to the right person out there on the field. He was trying to force feed the ball into double coverage, triple coverage in those situations. And sometimes you just have to take what the defense gives you, like he did in the first half of that game. He did some really smart things in the first half of the game against the Jets, but kind of converted back to the normal Josh Allen that you see, where you try and play some hero ball in those situations and it's not good to see. If Buffalo can get back to playing the same Josh Allen style of football where you see him making the smart decisions, where he's checking the ball down, getting it to his running backs, getting the ball, spreading the ball around to his different playmakers that he has up there. He has guys like Gabe Davis, who's not going to be going up against a tough matchup in DJ Reed. You also have the DK brothers who are going to be out there on the field. And if you can spread the ball to these guys, along with Stephon Diggs, I think the Bills will definitely win this game. I look back to a couple of years ago and think about the Bills and how they've spread the ball around to guys like Cole Beasley and Stephon Diggs. And when they were able to do that, both guys were getting more than 10 targets a game. And I think that you can spread the ball around in this offense, especially against this defense, because this defense is not the best out there in the world. So you can be able to spread the ball around, get it to your playmakers, not only Stephon Diggs, but you can also get it to guys like Dawson Knox or even Gabe Davis. But the Bills need to have two guys that have more than 10 targets in this game. And that's going to be a way for the Bills to win this game. Another thing I want to mention is the run game of the Buffalo Bills is going to have to be involved in this game because you can't put so much pressure on Josh Allen. And I believe that one way that Buffalo can take some of the pressure off of Josh is by running the ball on this defense. If you remember back to last week with the Denver Broncos game against the Raiders, the Denver Broncos did a decent job of running the ball, but they don't have the run game that you normally see out there with different teams. And if you look back to the team stats for the Denver Broncos, they did have 94 rushing yards, which I felt like they could have gotten the ball more involved in the run game, but they tried to convert to more of a passing game, and they didn't do a good job of that. Now, their leading rusher in the game was Javonte Williams, who had 52 yards on 13 carries, but the Denver Broncos don't have the same run game that the Buffalo Bills have, and they can utilize different guys like James Cook, along with Latavius Murray and even Damian Harris, to get involved in the game. And that's what I want to see from the Buffalo Bills today. If they're able to do that and get the run game going, it'll create different play action plays for Josh Allen to run. And if he's able to do that, then he's going to make an impact out there on the field today. I want to see more of the Josh Allen play action game, moving him around, rolling him out to his right, and getting him moving and able to get the offense going down the field as well. Another key that I thought of with Josh Allen is also getting him under center and taking the handoff from Mitch Morse. I think that that's going to be another area for Buffalo to be able to utilize Josh Allen in, is that 3, 5, 7-step drop back and get the ball to your playmakers right away. And get the ball not only to your playmakers, but also get it to them where they can create some yards after the catch. I didn't see a lot of that last week. It seemed like some of the throws were a little off, and receivers weren't able to turn up field and get yards after the catch for the Buffalo Bills. And that's going to be one key that I want to see for the Buffalo Bills. It's getting the ball to your playmakers and making sure that they're able to turn up field and get more yards and get positive yards for the Buffalo Bills today. Let me go over and talk about the keys to the game for the Buffalo Bills and how they can win this game. And we have 4 keys to the game for the Buffalo Bills. The first one is going to be for the whole entire team, which is stay within yourself in this game. It seemed like last week that the Bills, not only did they weren't staying within themselves, they were making mistakes that you don't normally see from a playoff team. Now, remember, they're not in midseason form, and these are high expectations that the Bills Mafia has for the team. But I want to see Buffalo be able to stay within themselves in this game, not create a ton of penalties, and play the Buffalo Bills football that we want to see them play. If they're able to do that, then they should be in this game all the way until the end, and they should win this game. Second is you got to contain Josh Jacobs. That's the biggest key for me today, is containing Josh Jacobs, making sure that Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be the one that's going to have to beat you in this game. Josh Jacobs is an excellent running back in this league. You know what he can do if he gets going. And when he gets going, he's going to take the top off of defenses because he can turn any play into a big game. He's a bigger running back, about 220, 225 pounds, but he can take the top off of defenses and he can be able to make sure that, the run game is going throughout the whole entire game for the Raiders. If the Bills are able to get into the backfield with guys like Terrell Bernard and get some more penetration from the interior defensive line to be able to get into the backfield and put Josh Jacobs on his back, then that's going to be another way for the Buffalo Bills to win this game. And that's what I want to see today. As far as the offense of the Buffalo Bills, I think it really comes down to the Bills spreading the ball around to their playmakers today. Not only trying to get Diggs his 15 catches today, but also getting your playmakers more involved. That's something that we didn't see a lot of last week, is getting playmakers involved. And who's going to step up beside Stephon Diggs? That's what I want to see today. Who's going to be the next man up that's going to step up and create a game for themselves and make the stats out there for the Buffalo Bills? Whoever that's going to be, whether it's Dawson Knox or Dalton Kincaid or Gabe Davis, I want to see the next man up come up and have a big game today. And then for the offensive line, you got to factor in Max Crosby, like we talked about. You got to make sure that Max Crosby does not get involved in this game because he can take the top off of the team and he can end drives very easily for the Buffalo Bills. So we got to make sure that we create a mistake-free game. We don't get Max Crosby involved in this game to be able to continue drives and not create third and longs. If we're able to do that, then the Bills should come away with an easy win today at home in HighMark Stadium in front of a sold-out crowd that we're going to see today. It's going to be in a great atmosphere. The game temperature, I'm going to look it up real quick in Orchard Park, New York, but the game temperature should be another beautiful day. The weather does look pretty good as well. It's 68 degrees in Orchard Park. The winds are at 4 miles an hour today, so it's a beautiful day in Orchard Park. It is partly cloudy right now there, but it should be a beautiful day for Buffalo Bills football and being able to talk and being able to watch our team this week. It should be great. We are about 10 minutes away from kickoff of the game between the Raiders and the Bills. I would like to go on over to our Instagram real quick. I'm going to pull it up real quick. Give me one. I wanted to pull up a few questions on Instagram real quick that we had from different people. And one of them came down to a guy named Ryan. He said, who do you think is going to be the hardest matchup for the Buffalo Bills in this game? And we answered that it's going to be Josh Jacobs, though. But I do think that Davante Adams is going to have a big game against the Bills secondary, just because Davante Adams is a player that can he'll lose matchups against Tre'Davious White, but he'll also win matchups against Tre'Davious White. So we'll see how that matchup works today. Also, real quick, I want to give a shout out to the Red, White, and Bills. He said, great show. I do appreciate him saying that as well. And I do appreciate him. If you haven't already, go on over to the Red, White, and Bills. Check out the show that we just did last night on the Nickel City Mafia channel as well. The Red, White, and Ruthless show that I did with Sean Kula. It's another great show that we did, and it is something that you should definitely watch. As well as go on over to the Nickel City Mafia. Check out the AFC East Summit show that we do on Tuesday nights at 8:30 p.m. And then we also have another show on the Red, White, and Bills that we're doing our weekly picks, which is another great show that you will see out there. So show the Bills Mafia, show the guys some love. It was the Red, White, and Bills and Nickel City Mafia, as well as myself. Don't forget to click the like button as well. And I'm going to say it again. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow us on all social media platforms. You can find us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, as well as on Threads. And you can also find us on our website, gobillspodcast.com, where you can see all of our upcoming shows that we are going to have for the Buffalo Bills. And whether that's on our channel or it's on Nickel City Mafia or Red, White, and Bills' channel, you can find all of that on the gobillspodcast.com. This has been Brett from the Go Bills Podcast. We will see you next time for another edition of the Go Bills Podcast. We'll be live at halftime of the show, and we will be talking about what the Bills need to do to make adjustments for them to win this game against the Raiders. So we'll be back at halftime on YouTube as well as on Facebook, and we are about 8 minutes away from kickoff. I want to get you guys out to see some of the commentary before the game, as well as grab your popcorn, grab your snacks, get ready, get comfortable in your seats, be ready for a great game for the Buffalo Bills. And we're going to take home a win today against the Las Vegas Raiders by a score of 45-17. 4 touchdowns wins today for the Buffalo Bills, and it's going to be a great win for them at home in front of a sold-out crowd in HighMark Stadium. So get your popcorn ready, get your snacks ready, grab your drinks, grab your family, get around and watch this game. It's going to be a great one. Until next time, guys, I'm Brett with the Go Bills Podcast, and we'll see you at halftime.